UFC Fight Night Hernandez versus Pereira took place this past weekend at the UFC Apex Arena, and Anthony Fluffy Hernandez has put an end to Michel Pereira's five-fight winning streak. Up next is the recap of UFC Fight Night Hernandez versus Pereira. Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the CPS Reports. It's your boy, brother Guy, and I am back with a fight reaction to the UFC Fight Night Hernandez versus Pereira, which took place on the 20th of October. That was the Sunday that passed away. And I'm going to be recapping this event. Luckily, that the last three fights of the fight card were pretty amazing. The fight card definitely needed something like that because it was sort of underwhelming up until that point. Didn't get much finishes on the fight card, but some entertaining fights here and there. But let me get straight into it without wasting any time. This fight took place on the 20th, like I said, and I'm going to start with the main event performance of the night bonus. Um, Obviously gone to Anthony Fluffy Hernandez, and he fought fantastically. Firstly, I know in the preview I was saying that Michel Pereira is going to look a little dangerous. He's got some good strikes. He's very unorthodox, and he's got this unusual way of fighting. I mean, he's just one of those creative guys, but does put himself in the line of fire and always had difficulty. I also remember saying that after the second round, you usually see Michel Pereira start to fade quite commonly in most of his fights, and Anthony just gets better as he goes on. And he did exactly that. And I thought Hernandez was going to win. And he did exactly that. Early on in the fight, Michel Pereira did land a very, very strong teep kick from the left foot. And it made Anthony Hernandez obviously back up. He looked like he was taking that damage. And he was wearing it for sure. You could see it on his face. He was struggling to breathe. He kept his hands very close to his stomach area. But Michel Pereira didn't really go and finish the fight right then and there, or even go back to the teep kicks to secure his win. I felt that it was very strange that he didn't do that for the remainder of the first round and even in the second round. And I thought what was quite interesting was that Michel Pereira looked gassed after the first round, which is usually you normally see it happening after the second round, third round, he's kind of tanked. But to see him go quiet or go that tired after the first round made me think, okay, the fight's pretty much done here because he had nothing going forward for after that. Anthony Hernandez, once he was able to recover from that body shot, he was pushing the pace forward, landing some of his strikes, not necessarily trying to hurt Michel Pereira when he was standing, but mainly just to get the fight to the ground. I think he shot 20 takedowns. Let me see if I can just bring it up on the screen here for you. Takedowns. Okay, they're showing 0 landed on screen, but I know he shot somewhere around 20. Look, 29, shot 29 takedowns and then 10 of them. Granted that some of those takedowns weren't necessarily to secure, and then he was just trying to weigh on Michel Pereira, and it worked perfectly fine. You could see that Michel Pereira didn't have anything, to get back up onto his feet. Every takedown was so easy for Hernandez, and I was quite surprised that the fight actually lasted that long. I thought Michel Pereira had nothing for Hernandez after that first round, whether they were standing or whether they were on the ground. Michel Pereira had absolutely nothing going forward to help him win the fight. He pretty much just survived. And I thought, personally, the coaches of Michel Pereira could have at least said to him, listen, this is the third round. We're going in the championship rounds now. If I don't see you actually throwing anything and getting out of the positions, I'm probably going to throw the towel in here. I know you're not going to want to quit, but geez, the guy, it was one of those things where he just couldn't do anything. He looked like a fish out of water. He couldn't do anything in this fight. And Anthony Hernandez, big ups to him. He did what he was going to do best. And it's the kind of fighter that he is. I like his grueling style. I like how he's able to, just wear his opponents down. I do think that the higher he goes up the division, he's going to have to learn to box. He's going to have to learn to stay on his feet and also be very, very difficult to beat in the striking department because if you look at top of the division, you got the people like obviously Truckers is the champion. He's obviously the best, but Sean Strickland, Isal Desanya, Robert Whittaker, Hamzat, um, Carlo Baralio, all these guys, Urashina, Paulo Costa, for example, Marvin Vittori, all these dudes are very good and very well rounded. They're not just very good at grappling. They are fantastic on their feet as well, and they can stop fights from any position really. I think Anthony Hernandez can stop fights when he does this where he mixes up the striking and the grappling, and eventually getting to the point where you're so tired that he's going to finish you on the ground with all the submission wins that he usually has. Um, he's going to have to evolve that. He's going to have to evolve his striking department. That's going to get it to the ground because that style, I don't think it's going to be the kind of style that beats the top five of the middleweight. It's going to have to be a bit more than that. He's going to have to be able to also strike because the top five is way too elite. Which then brings me to my next part of this, or make the next part of this fight, is what happens next for these two gentlemen. Personally, I think Michel Pereira should. I almost said he should just leave. He should just like maybe do something else because he's been in not only in the UFC but he's been fighting MMA for quite some time, and he's been in the UFC now for a number of years. And he was obviously fighting in two divisions. He was welterweight, now he's middleweight. Trying to hone himself down in the middleweight division, but came up short against someone who's not even ranked in the top 10. Kind of tells me that this I don't think he's going to get to the title. I don't think he's going to be able to make that run, to be quite honest. So probably stay in there long enough to milk the UFC and get his paycheck done in his contract. But I don't think the UFC is going to be pressing very hard to actually re-sign Michel Pereira or extend his contract a little bit further. I mean, he's entertaining, but he's entertaining for one round or two rounds. The times where he's gone further than that are very rare occasions. Ponzinibbio fight was one of them, but he doesn't really really go that long, and he's even slower now that he's fighting in middleweight. I just don't think that he's able to make a strong run. I think a lot of the middleweight guys, particularly in that top 10, beat Michel Pereira for sure. As for Anthony Hernandez, I'm a big fan. I like the performance that he had. I like his style, I like his buzz. I think he's a fantastic fighter and guy to watch. Who does he fight next? This Jared Cannonier. He came down on a loss. Marvin Tori, I think he is scheduled for a fight, if I'm not mistaken. The Jack Manson. There's a couple of good guys that he can go up against to sort of test his might and see where he lands up in the division. In fact, let me just pull up the rankings for you guys here, and then we can have a look together. Um, there we go. We got Dricus Duplessis, Sean Strickland, Easy, Nasruddin Mavov one. Like I said, Carlo Borrello is the name for me that could potentially be the guy. But then Allen came off for a loss. So anyone from Jared Cannonier downwards would be a good fight for him. Obviously, I said Jack Manson is Paulo Costa. I think he beats Roman Delice, to be honest. But Brendan Allen, Jared Cannonier, Marvin Vittori, and Jack Manson is definitely fighters who I think would be probably next on the list or on the radar for Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. But big win for him. Big win for him for sure. Make a very good statement in the middleweight division. I definitely think that his stock has risen because he's a fantastic fighter. He's entertaining to watch. I definitely think that with the kind of personality that he has, he can pretty much make call outs and there will be a big enough following where it'll make the UFC go, listen, let's give this guy a fight. He can bring the numbers for us for sure. But let me know in the comments what do you guys think. I'd love to hear your thoughts about the performances and also who do you think Anthony Hernandez should fight next. Let's keep it moving. The co-main event, we saw my guy Rob Font from the New England Cartel that took on Kyler Phillips. Kyler Phillips is obviously the up-and-coming prospect. Well, he's been in the UFC now for a while after that Contender Series of the early seasons. But he's been in the UFC. He's fought the who's who. He put on a very good performance against Pedro Munoz. And obviously, Rob Font has fought a lot of the top names in the bantamweight division. Excuse me. So in this fight, in my preview, I went with Rob Font. I did say Kyler Phillips was going to be a challenge for him because he's obviously the young, youthful fighter, very vibrant in the way that he fights. His style is fantastic. He's fast, quick kicks, very aggressive grappling. But I just think that he was going to get outboxed, and I did say that was going to be the case, and that's exactly what happened. I felt that Rob Font was going to hit a little bit harder. I think he hits a lot harder. Like I said, his boxing is probably the scariest thing in terms of like punching power in the bantamweight division. The first round he lost. Rob Font lost that first round. He got out-grappled. He got held down for at least 90% of that first round. And then Kyler Phillips then eventually got back up. Then Rob Font eventually got back up at the end of that round. Towards the last minute of that first round, you could see him sort of turning on the pace. And he was boxing Kyler Phillips. Kyler Phillips going backwards quite often. Pardon me. Jeez. This bourbon here. Pardon me. And then you could see in the second round, Rob Font clearly won that second round. He outboxed Kyler Phillips really badly. He had one of his left eye pretty much almost shut. And Kyler Phillips had nothing going after that. Like he was trying to push the pace. He attempted, like you can see, the attempted takedowns. landing 4 or 5, but a lot of it came in the first round. I think one of it came in the second round as well. But never really had anything going forward. He couldn't really put Rob Font away. Yeah, Rob Font pretty much had Califors going back for the duration of the fight after that first round. Landed some fantastic boxing combinations, slick uppercut, uh, dig into the body, dig into the head. And yeah, Califors just couldn't really do anything. And I wasn't really surprised. I wanted to see more from Califors. I would like to have seen him actually like shut Rob Font up and be like, listen, I'm actually going to be the one, the boogeyman of this bantamweight division. I'm going to climb this ranks. I'm going to be that guy. But didn't end up that way. And Rob Font just shows the class. He shows the levels. And Kyler Phillips has to now then, he's still young. He's going to have to go back and see where he went wrong, um, and go back to the drawing board and then see if he can come back and make another run. Because at least now having to lose to someone who has been in and around the top of the division, at least now Kyler Phillips can see how much further he still has to go. As for Rob Font, I think he will continue to be the gatekeeper of the bantamweight division, especially in that top 10. Who does he fight next? Let's go again to the rankings once again. Bantamweight division. So Rob Font currently sits at number 10, right? Mario Batista just got a win. There's Song De Jong. I think one of these two gentlemen will probably be the next fight. Chito Vera came off a loss, but there's another option there for Rob Font. As for Kyler Phillips, he's probably going to have to. I don't think he gets Dominic Cruz. Dominic Cruz is probably going to get Jose Aldo next. So there's Jonathan Martinez, who also lost to Jose Aldo. So that could probably be the next fight for Carlo Phillips. As for up front, like I said, Mario Bautista or Song Yadong would probably be the next best fight for up front. But fantastic performance from him. I thought he was amazing. I thought the boxing was really good. And one of the saving graces of the fight card, because like I said, it was a little dull. There was moments where the fight card kind of dipped in. There wasn't as entertaining. But once we got to the last three fights of the main card, I thought it really revved itself up. You could see the level of caliber of opponents and fighters started really showing itself. But okay, we keep it moving. Big up to the up front over there, ladies and gentlemen. Let's keep it moving. And this fight I thought was the fight of the night. I don't know why I didn't get that. But we saw Charles Johnson defeating Sumadarji in a flyweight bout over 3 rounds. I wouldn't say unanimous decision. I would have said split decision to Sumadarji for sure in my mind. Because I only really thought he lost the second round, to be quite honest. In the first round, it was fairly even. I can see Charles Johnson was the one that was putting on some pressure, but again, not really landing that cleanly. Whereas Sumadarji, although he was going backwards very often in that first fight, I did think that he landed the cleaner strikes, which then in my book would have gotten the tick because he scored in bad damages the main electric. He's the one that's cleaner. It's got to be more damaging. Right, but Charles Johnson was looking fantastic. I'm quite impressed by the amount of switch stances he was doing and just how busy and active he was remaining in the fight. He did make that Sumadarji couldn't really settle in and get his momentum going forward. But that was in the first round. In the second round, I thought that it was a little bit even up until Johnson started putting the pace, started landing a bit cleaner, some leg kicks, some body shots, and then even landed a nice clean left hook that dropped Sumadarji, I think, towards the end of that second round, which then meant that clearly Charles Johnson got that round. And then in the third round, I think Sumadarji put the pace on. He put the pace on. He was landing cleaner shots. He took the fight to Charles Johnson. Even Charles Johnson at the end, although he was putting on this hype and smiling and being this all, just balls to the wall, upper. He's like he's on uppers all the time. I could sense in his voice and his tone, he did kind of feel like it was disappointing performance from himself. Because I think he knew that he might have lost that third round as well. So I would have gone round one and round three to Sumadarji and round two to Charles Johnson. But entertaining fight. Both these gentlemen came to fucking fight. That's what they did, and that's what the UFC needed in this card. And like I said, you only started getting that once we reached the main card. Like the gentlemen started actually stealing the show. And pardon me. Who's next for the two gentlemen? Not too sure. I think Charles Johnson, obviously, both of them could still fight up the division. Um, even though Samaduji lost that fight, both of them can still go up the division. Alex Perez, I don't know why the hell this guy is still here. He's on like such an intense losing streak. He should be way lower than that. But Tausch Lickernau just lost on this card as well. Steve Versick took a loss. Manal Cup took a win against what's his name that just got released from the UFC. Tom Elliott is also there. There's Tiger, Bruno Silva. Asu Almabayev obviously beat uh, beat Mateusz Nicolau, so he's obviously going to go up much higher. So that could be a good fight for maybe Charles Johnson next, just to get Almabayev. Matchnell is not supposed to be there. I think he retired, so you can take his name off the list. So that would be Asu Almabayev versus Charles Johnson next. Would be fantastic to watch. And then I would say give Samaduji, maybe Mateusz Nicolau, possibly. I don't know about Steve Usyk. Um, or even Tim Elliott. Oh, Tim Elliott, this is like he's still in the UFC. But that's probably the next matchups for these two gentlemen. But again, they stole the show for me. But let me know in the comments what you guys think about that performance. Do you think it was a clear cut unanimous decision, or should it actually been a split to one of the two, maybe Samaduji as well? All right, let's keep it moving. Let's close this one. Yeah, I won't spend too much time on these two fights. I mean, Jake Hadley fought against Cameron Smotherman, which was a change in opponent. He was supposed to fight what's that dude's name? Cody, I think it was. Um, Jack Hadley, I expected a lot more out of him for this fight. He didn't really do enough. He was on the back foot for the majority of the fight. Cameron Smotherman coming in on his debut and especially on short notice, and he put on a fantastic performance. He landed very good low kicks, got some good boxing. I'm not mistaken, he's a very good close friend, or even fights at the same gym as Jamal Hill. But he put on a good performance, well deserved. That was an unanimous decision. Jack Hadley was just too scared to throw for some reason, or just was just hesitant. He didn't really throw enough, and because of moving backwards all the time, it meant that Cameron could pretty much do exactly what he wanted to do. And good performance from Cameron Smotherman, and well done on your debut. Darren Elkins versus Daniel Pineda, one for the ages kind of thing. The two gentlemen obviously are at the, so one could say at the end of their careers. And speaking of end of the careers, Daniel Pineda then retired after this fight. It was one of those weird things. It's like, oh, I'm done, bro. But then we don't actually see him take the mic, maybe do a little bit of a speech, give thanks to the UFC. It was just like, I'm finished. Yeah. And then walks out. And I was like, okay, I'm sure we'll get something from Daniel Pineda a bit later. Maybe there'll be an interview or something about it. But for Darren Elkins, he did what Darren Elkins did. He stayed in the fight and he put on the pace. Like every time he survived those guillotines that were quite tight from Daniel Pineda. I think Daniel Pineda started getting really tired from trying to really finish those guillotines. Had no more gas in the arms, and that's when Daniel Elkins took over and then just provided the fight with a lot of ground and pound. Had more energy when it did stand. He was landing nice and cleanly. Pretty much shut both eyes of Daniel Pineda, and I think he deserved the win. That's what Daniel Elkins now. He deserved that fantastic win, and also wishing all the best for Daniel Pineda in his retirement. Hope to see more of him around the sport, and maybe coaching someone. We'll probably see him in the corner. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that is my time. Unfortunately, if you made it this far, thank you so much. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe as usual. Hit the notification bell to stay in touch every time we drop an episode. This week, I cannot wait. I'm excited to bring myself and the team's obviously excited to bring you guys our preview predictions for this weekend's fight card in Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi at Etihad Stadium. We have Ilya Taporia defending his featherweight strap against Max Blessed Holloway, my favorite fighter in the UFC. And you will see us obviously give you that predictions coming this week, most likely on Tuesday or Wednesday. At this moment, we will make a final decision and we'll see it coming up one of those 2 days. And then obviously, we will also bring you some more One Championship content for One Friday Fights 84. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Enjoy yourself. Have a fantastic week, and you will catch us very, very soon. Stay blessed. Cheers.